On this episode, we're getting our 1952 Dodge body on our 2006 Chrysler Aspen. Guess we just cut more of the frame off. Measure once, cut twice, still doesn't fit. I'm Kevin, this is Ridge Runner Garage. Lays frame. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I've been doing some measuring on our 1952 Dodge out here, and well, it actually tapers towards the front on each side, and it actually tapers outwards toward the top. That has to translate into our chassis here. So what do? Lisa and I have been sitting here in the last couple of days, having a couple beverages and staring at our project. So what we've got to do is we need to tear the dashboard out of this thing for sure. I'm going to save the dashboard, set it aside, because obviously I'm going to need some wiring that's out of the dashboard. There's also wiring in the firewall. I've actually scribbled down a few measurements. The inside cowl happens to fit exactly right here on both sides. So you see there is a big cut there, and the height is will follow probably this line of the bottom of this cowl, so I think I can make that work. This isn't going to all line up, obviously, but I'm gonna try to save as much of this structure as possible around the front, because obviously everything in the engine bay is attached to it. Other problem we've got, the Dodge truck out here was originally 115-inch wheelbase. The Dodge Aspen is 118-inch wheelbase. So what my plans are to gain these 3 inches. This is where I would have to cut the cab. I'm going to add 3/4 of an inch to the front, and I'm going to add 3/4 of an inch to the back. That way the center line will be just ever so slightly forward, and I don't think you'd notice it. I don't think you'd see it sitting alongside the truck. Maybe you would. And what I'll do with the other 1.5 inches is to add that between the cab and the bed, because they don't fit great together anyways. The cab's curved, the bed's straight. So first thing I'll do is drop the column down. The dashboard comes out in one big chunk. These are modular. You don't have to strip all this thing down. I should be able to pull a couple panels, pull a couple bolts here, and the dash should come right out. Or at least I think it will come right out. Either way, you and I are gonna find out right now. Well, all right, we've got a dashboard out, as you can see. I will have to get this harness off here. My plan is to keep a part of this firewall here, actually take this part, move it inwards a little bit, so I still have all the structure to bolt everything down that I needed to. Even though it would be nice to keep this HVAC box, it's way too big. It's obviously never gonna work for us. So let me get this thing out of here. Right now, I'm gonna take a bunch of time and do as many measurements as I can. The least amount of cutting on this Dodge, or Aspen, the Chrysler chassis, will be the least amount of welding and patch paneling that I have to do, right? So I'm gonna measure, and see where I've gotta cut. Just try to make the least amount of mistakes as possible. So I'm gonna take, I don't know, I'm gonna take an hour, I'm gonna take even more, try to figure out how to do this the best way that I can. Last we left off, I have been spending all kinds of times measuring this to cut it. As you can see, I've got all these measurements here, I've got measurements down on the floor here. I don't want to screw this up, because if I have a funny feeling of, if I screw this cut up, there's no turning back. Well, look at, I mean, right, really? Why would I feel that way? This isn't necessarily something that I feel is going to be I guess, entertaining. But if anybody out there is doing this, let me just go over a couple things, and maybe you can learn from my mistakes. There's also a couple things that you guys might find interesting as well. So here, check this out. So doing measurements, right here is the center of the vehicle. You wouldn't think it would be, but that's it right there. All the way over in the middle of this, the hump in the transmission, it's off to the side. I know a lot of stuff is like that. And I want to tell you, everything in this, there seems to be some sort of rule of two. So our main cut right here is going to be up to the cowl of the Dodge, and that's 22 inches. No big deal, right? Now, my plan is to cut all this down to this place right here, because there's a big hole right in here. And this is flat, and this is going to be perfect, except for it drops down here 2 inches. I want to keep the steering column or the steering column brace, the pedal assembly, all this stuff. And if I cut it back 2 inches, it's going to stick out. Guess what? 2 inches. Come over to the Dodge here. Now, if I cut that, it's going to end up in the middle of this, which is, this drops down. I'm going to have to cut 2 inches. This piece right here, that it's going to have to fit behind and up under the cowl, is, well, you might think it'd be 2 inches, and you'd be right, it's 2 inches. So from the height of that, I made all these measurements. You see how sure I was and all this. I'm going to end up cutting this off anyways. So here we go. I am literally going to cut my floor. Oh, and by the way, 2 inches. Anyway, it's after work. I don't have a ton of time. I want to get this done because I want to get the truck out of the driveway, in here in the garage, so nobody can kind of see it out there. So, because it, you know, looks like I'm the neighbor, you know, with all kinds of junk in the driveway. Anyways, sit back, relax. We're going to throw a little bit of music on, and I'm going to cut this firewall up. And the next thing after that is I am going to wheel it out into the driveway, clean up the cab. There's a couple just little brackets and tabs that are in the way, and we're going to try to fit the cab. So here we go. Well, that's it. That's gonna be my floor, my firewall. Yeah, check this out. It's like a bomb went off in here. I'm gonna actually keep these. I think my idea is to cut this inside here and then maybe re-weld this in the 53 or 52, I'm not sure. But yeah, there you go. There's all the destruction. This actually looks like it's not level, but it was level. So it's a little loose, but once it's welded in, I'm not so sure about this. We'll find out together whether this is going to fit or not. But yeah, so far so good. You know, I often wonder what my neighbors think of me. I mean, they're all pretty cool. Look at this. This is Sunday morning in my driveway. I guess as long as it's picked up by the end of the day, nobody really minds, but this is me. All right, now that we got our body somewhat, well, it's perched up on the cherry picker. There's nothing safe about it. I've got to trim off a little bit of this cowl here, get this piece out of the way, get the floor out of the way, trim up this little stuff hanging from the dash. Probably cut all this wiring and stuff out of here so that cowl can sit down on here. I'm thinking this brace may need to go. I'm not sure just yet. I kind of think, yeah, that's gonna have to go, unfortunately. So that cowl's not gonna work. Not that it does anyways. Clearly it's a little on the frozen side. All right, this little brace thing's gotta go. There's a couple mounts back there that Roger had holding this to the Crown Vic. They gotta go. All right, here we go. Let's get to cutting. Ow. Ow. That reminds me. So, I'm in the Dodge. I'm getting ready to cut the floor. Lisa and I went to a car show yesterday, and my buddy's wife says to me, she goes, I saw you driving that car around sitting on a milk crate. Milk crate wasn't attached to anything. You know how dangerous that is? You should do something like at least bungee the milk crate down or something. So thinking about that, and then I just hit my head. Don't do anything I do here at home. If you choose to do it, you're on your own. But that being said, let me show you what I'm gonna do for safety here. I am going to put a bungee cord up here just to be safe. Bungee cord, safe. "90-year-old piece of Swiss cheese. You'd never believe how thick some of the metal is." Get out, big guns. All right, well, I gotta cut a little more of the firewall. I thought I had it measured out, but I'm, you know, leaving a little bit just in case, but it's fitting really, really well. I have to cut off 2 inches. Imagine that. Inch off each side. That'll work. All right, here we go. Let's try this again. All right, well, we're partially set down on there. I'm gonna have to pull this back up and make some more trimming on the cab. I gotta cut it right here because the floor actually clumps up right in the middle there. And looks like these mounts on the frame, I can either cut these or cut the cab, which I think I'll probably just cut the cab. It's got to go down a little bit. Well, let me see if you can see. I don't know why that surprises you that it's 2 inches. And this cab still needs to go back a little bit, so I got to cut a little bit more in here. There's our wheel center, it's 25. So if I hold this here, that's on there. And it has to go back to the corner, the inside of that door has to go back to 25, which is at 23. You can't make this up. This is really happening. That's another 2 inches. Okay. Okay. All right. More cutting. Look at me. 3.5 hours of trimming later. Look at this. Complete carnage. she's down on there and trimmed and fitting pretty much right in line where I wanted it. Pretty happy with that. Literally fits almost perfect against this cowl where I cut it. It was worth the time of, you know, measuring and measuring and measuring, right? And then of course it still didn't fit and I had to cut, but look at that. This part hurt to cut. I gotta be honest with you. I had to cut the dash a little bit, but what are you gonna do, man? Part of the game, right? That back here doesn't quite go together. I don't think this isn't level. It's tipped forward. I'm gonna back this back in the garage once we get the bed on it, and then we're gonna do that right now. I'm gonna level the front end back out all over, level the cab, put everything, and then weld that. Now for the bed, something I did not know until yesterday. And I don't know if any of you guys know Dodge trucks. You guys might have picked up on this already and not said anything to me, but comment or put it in comments. What do you think of these fenders? Those are not the original fenders to this truck, even though they look like they grew there. Those fenders 100% look like they've been on there forever. Does anybody know what those fenders are? I figured it out yesterday. A guy that had us a Dodge truck told me what they were. He goes, those look like blah blah blah, because those are not Dodge fenders, but man, they sure do look like they're original. Comment below, tell me what you guys think these fenders are, and I will reveal that. Oh, get back in the light, and I'll reveal that in the next video when we start hooking up everything to get this thing running again. For now, let's oh god, that's a mess. Well, let me clean some of this stuff up with this cherry picker out of here and rig up the bed. At least get the bed set on this thing and get it back into the garage. All right, this is me putting the bed on. So I have my ratchet straps just tucked in each hole here. And if you think I've ever done anything on this channel that's a little extra sketchy, this one definitely has a little mayo on it. This is really sketchy because those could fall out at any second. But we're going to try to pick that up and put it on there. Wish me luck. Here goes nothing. All right, we're gonna have to cut off those mounts. All right, here we go. As you can see, I cut those off with a torch. So let's take two. All right, well, it's not gonna fit with these on there. So I'm gonna get the torches out, cut both these off, and I'm gonna try it again. All right, this is gonna be take 3. And by the way, I left the torches out this time so I won't need them again, because if I pack them up and put them away, I'm gonna need them again. Here we go. You guys got a good view up there? All right, there goes nothing. Oh, look at this. You guys can see where we're going with this. The cab is sitting on there, the bed is sitting on there. We need to get this back in the garage, get it level. We're gonna need to mock up the front end as well to make sure we're centered and make sure it looks good and it's fairly centered in the wheels. But this is the beginning of where we're at. This took all day to cut this cab to get it to fit this firewall. I thought this bed would go on in 1 or 2 shots. It took me 5 or 6 easily, but this is where we're at. I have an absolute mess here.
Just a bare body last time I saw that.
That's right. Look at it now.
What's it on?
2007 Dodge Aspen Hemi. Even my neighbors like it. So this is good enough for today. It's Sunday. It's somewhere around, I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock. I'm tired. During the week, I'll get the front end mocked up, or at least try to figure out where it needs to go. That way I can figure out my wheelbase, get everything set forward and backwards where it's got to be. You know, whether I need to move the cab a little bit or the front end a little bit. I'm pretty sure the cab's exactly where it needs to be. The bed can move around, check where the running boards and how they fit, make a new piece there. Steering column's a little long. I can actually shorten that about 4 inches. So yeah, here we are so far. All right, here she is. She's up on jack stands. The frame is level, so when I build everything or mount everything in place, it's gonna be level. Anyway, moving forward, I gotta put the front end on here, and it looks like it'll fit over this. I was using this particular mark right here because that was my center of my wheel, but ever since I cut the cowl off, well, it is clearly not a reliable place to measure anymore. So I'm gonna get the front end up on this right now and see what it looks like. Also, I'm gonna need to remove the gas tank for obvious reasons, you know, kaboom and all that stuff. Can you imagine if I cut through this gas, or, you know, melted a hole in the gas tank, caught this on fire, burned the whole house down in a minute. So got to get that out of there. Gonna move these mounts forward. I've got the original plate that was part of the floor here. Gonna bolt that and that together when I cut it off, weld it from underneath. Right now, let's see if we can get this. I don't know how much of a struggle it's going to be, but I'm going to see if I can get this front end on here right now. So it looks like it'll fit. I took some measurements, and I can't believe it's going to fit over that. So we'll see what happens. I've got my scissors here. If I need to cut a few things, we should be good. So we'll see what happens. Get this hood out of the way. Put this on wheels. No. Well, okay. The first fit didn't work. He's a little tricky. Attempt number 2. I'm confident in this one. This isn't gonna work at all. Well, I mean, not at all, but this isn't shit out. I've got to go back. Looks like over this pretty much. I didn't realize the fenders go all the way to the door here. I guess I don't know why I didn't realize that. but there you go. They go back quite a bit. And well, we're back as far as we're gonna go. So how far are we talking here? At least it's not 2 inches. Well, we're talking to maybe 7.5. Well, we actually gotta go to about 6.5 or 7. So, all right. Well, let me figure out what else I can do here. I was wrong. None of this is gonna work on this thing. None of this outside frame piece. None of this. This is in the way. This is in the way. Literally has to go back 7 inches. I wanted to keep the condenser on here because I wanted to have the option of putting air conditioning in this thing. And, you know, maybe you could, you know, put a condenser on the radiator if you wanted to. Obviously, you could do the aftermarket thing. We don't need the washer bottle or any of that stuff. We can make our own coolant bottle. But this whole structure here has to come off because that front end is not going to fit on this. Not even one bit. It literally will lay on here and it has to go down another 7 inches. And then back another 7 inches or 6.5. So none of that's going to fit. So, well, I don't know. Give me a couple minutes to strip all this stuff off, lose the condenser, lose this whole front structure, and we'll see if we can get it on then. Okay, that went exactly as expected. As you can see, the tools that we have out and the disaster we have going on in the garage, pretty typical. Okay, let's try this again. Okay. Yeah. All right. What do I gotta cut off now? What do you think? 4th time's the charm? Let's give it a shot. Now I need something to hold it up. How much farther is this gotta go back? Alright, well, that's not it. 3 or 4 inches it still needs to go. Well, we got the room. Guess we just cut more of the frame off. Alright, here we go for, I don't know, even I'm starting to lose track on how many times I cut this. Alright. Alright, this is going to be attempt number 5, number 6. God, I don't know. Back here. there. We are there. Check it out. Look at how it's actually fitting. That almost looks like it's centered, doesn't it? It's actually forward just a little bit. I gotta jack the cab up still a little bit in the back. I'm gonna get rid of these mounts and move all that stuff forward. The back is actually centered, so I can actually move this forward just a little bit and actually get rid of that gap. Like I said, it's a little weird how the cab's curved and the bed's straight. Gotta cut down the steering column. Got to move some stuff around, remount the radiator, make some bumpers, all kinds of stuff. From here on out, I have an absolute marathon of making brackets, cutting, grinding, welding. Man, that is what is in store for us. But we're going to save that for the next episode because I am absolutely out of time to get this video done and out to you guys. I literally have 1 day to edit the whole thing and get it out to you guys so you guys can see what we got going on. And now, in the next video, though, I've got new wheels coming for this thing. We're going to hook up the whole, or run this whole harness back in here, tuck it up under the dash, add some gauges, fix our steering column, get a new wheel for it, and we're going to hear this thing run again. And you know what? Whether we got a seat in this thing or not, because I haven't made any plans for that yet, we got a bucket, and that's what we're going to try. We're going to probably, more than likely, if we're lucky, we're going to drive it in the next video. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, helps the channel grow. Thank you very much, and I will see you on the next episode of Ridge Runner Garage.